Hey, Chef Tiffany Derry here. I am partnering with HEB, and we're gonna have our Roots Chicken Shak going into the Austin Mueller location, and we are so excited to feed you. But as of today, I wanna share this amazing recipe with you for our fan favorite Roots Chicken Caesar Salad. So we only have a few items on the menu. We have 9 items to be exact, and every recipe on there is special and fantastic and delicious. But the one that gets everyone by surprise is the Caesar salad. Why is the Caesar salad so good? Because it is packed with flavor, and I want to share with you the recipe now. Caesar salad was one of the main salads that I grew up eating. I didn't know much about all the other types of lettuce. I didn't know that there was so many varieties that we could choose from to create delicious salads. So growing up, Caesar salad was always one that I ate. And it was special because I would go out to eat and there was always Caesar salad on the menu. And so that became kind of my go-to. So I wanted to create one with Roots Chicken Shak because that's sort of my roots with everyone. So our Caesar salad consists of 3 types of lettuce, and this is really our go-to lettuce for everything at Roots Chicken Shak. It is kale, fresh kale, mustard greens, again, fresh mustard greens, and romaine lettuce, and that's very different from most. But as a Southerner, I love mustard greens, and we would eat them fresh or we would eat them cooked. And most people don't have that. So we're gonna do our 3 different types of greens. We're gonna make our breadcrumbs using duck fat, using a little bit of lemon zest to lighten it up, salt, pepper, and fresh herbs. And then our homemade Caesar dressing is by far just so delicious with lots of fresh cracked black pepper and Worcestershire. And then we're gonna top it off with some white marinated anchovies. We're gonna make our breadcrumbs, and I wanna walk you through that. It's really easy. Instead of having large croutons, we do the panko breadcrumbs. And the panko is very nice, coarse, white bread, if you would, that's been dried out, and it adds a nice crunch that you can get in every bite. Versus, you know, when you get croutons, sometimes you don't get the crunch in every bite. So this is a way to make sure that every bite has that good crunch. Okay, so you know we are home of the duck fat fried. So of course we're going to toast our croutons or our panko breadcrumbs in the duck fat. We need a couple things. So we have our breadcrumbs, we have some duck fat, we need to chop up some parsley, and this really sort of adds an additional element to our dish. When you have the salad, it's one part, but then once you add in the croutons and the bread and parsley, and we're gonna add in some Parmesan cheese, and then some lemon zest, it really kind of perks up the whole dish, so it's nice. So we're just gonna chop it up a little and have this ready to go because the breadcrumbs can happen quite quickly once they start toasting. You don't wanna be cutting, needing to stop cooking to come cut this after the fact. Okay, so now I have this ready, and I'm gonna turn on my saute pan, get it heated up so that I can add the duck fat. All right. So we want this to be over a medium-high heat, and that's gonna really kind of make sure that our breadcrumbs doesn't brown too quick, but a nice even browning. So heat up our pan first, add in the duck fat. Make sure you have a spoon with you when you're ready. Duck fat in. Next goes the breadcrumbs. So we're just gonna toast them, and you'll start smelling the deliciousness of the duck fat. And then the breadcrumbs will slightly start toasting from the outside, and you wanna keep shaking your pan so that it really doesn't burn, because if you leave the duck fat and the breadcrumbs together for too long, it will burn. And that happens with any bread, right? So you just wanna make sure you just keep moving it every few seconds until it's a beautiful golden brown. I'm gonna add a touch of salt and pepper now. Ooh-wee. and they wonder why our Caesar salad is so good. These are the small steps that are crucial to developing flavor, to adding flavor to dishes. When you take the time to toast the bread, to cook it in the duck fat, to add all the flavor, it makes a huge difference. And you keep moving it so that it doesn't toast black. You don't want to have any bitter flavor happening by burning the bread. Okay, perfect. That is done. Turn off your fire. It's gonna still keep cooking in the pan, so you wanna be careful. Okay, so now our breadcrumbs have been toasted. While it's slightly warm, we're gonna add in our parsley. Did you hear that? Yes, so all the flavor is gonna come out of the parsley. We're also gonna add in some cheese. And then I'm gonna add in just some lemon zest, and that is the breadcrumbs. And then you can take it out of the hot pan. So I have my toasted breadcrumbs that are toasted with a little bit of duck fat, some Parmesan cheese, and some lemon zest. And just mix it up. Ready to go. Set this aside. Breadcrumbs are done. So now we just need to cut some of our lettuce. I left a romaine. I went on and chopped up all of the mustard greens and the kale, but I just want to show you how to chop this. So I've cleaned the lettuce, and we want to cut this into thin strips so that the lettuce can adhere to the dressing. And since we're using kale, which is very hearty, we want to make sure that the kale is chopped thin enough so that we don't have any kind of like areas that don't have the good dressing that we're gonna toss it with. And the romaine adds a nice crunch. So we have our kale, we also have our mustard greens. We're gonna add in our lettuce and just kind of make sure that it's nice and even. And the only thing we do now is just dress it and eat it. So we have our lettuce, which has the romaine, the mustard greens, and the kale. We now are going to toss with our dressing. I'm also gonna have the recipe available for that. It basically has Worcestershire, black pepper, anchovies, a little bit of olive oil to bring it all together, and then an egg yolk. You can do it with an egg or without an egg, but without the egg, it doesn't get the quite creaminess that you're looking for with Caesar dressing. So breadcrumbs, Caesar dressing, and cheese. That's what we need to tie this dish together. Let me get my plate. A little bit of that dressing, and you put a little, and then if you need more, you add more. Start light, and then you can always add more, right? We can never take away, but we can always add more. It reminds me of when you're making any kind of soup, or for us at home, gumbo. You start with a small amount, you keep adding things, and it continues to grow. It's the same thing with anything else. So start small, and that way you don't grow into a huge bowl of salad trying to add more lettuce. Okay, so that's looking good. With the kale, it's hearty, so you want to make sure you put and let that greens really mix together well. And it's okay, we call it bruising the kale, and it sort of breaks it down so that you can chew it nice and easy, and very pleasing to the palates. All right, now I'm gonna add in some breadcrumbs. We mix it in at Roots Chicken Shak, and then we top it with more. So we're gonna add some cheese. Yum, so we have that tossed well with our dressing. I'm gonna add a touch more of black pepper. And just a nab of salt, just for the lettuce. Now let's plate it up. Love Caesar. I don't know about you, but I didn't grow up eating Caesar like this. So a good mound of that. And then we're gonna top it with more of those Crispies. And then more cheese. And then I'm gonna put a few of our white marinated anchovies. And these, again, this was not my traditional Caesar, but the moment that I had the marinated anchovies, the white ones, I was like, what is this? It's delicious. It's so different from the brown anchovies, not quite as pungent, more pickled, if you will, a little more of that vinegar and salt is in there. And then just top it with a little bit more. So this is how you prepare our Caesar salad from Roots Chicken Shak. But just in case you don't feel like making any food at home, come on over, check us out at the HEB Austin Mueller location, and we'll have it ready for you.